to Books by Ivan. My name is Ivan and I read books. And today I'll be covering Letters to Milena by Franz Kafka. I'll be doing letter 45 to 50 today. In one of my videos, somebody commented at the end that they really liked reading How to Die. After reading the introduction, I myself really enjoyed it, so after I'm done with this book, I'm going to cover that as well. That being said, grab a cup of coffee, get yourself comfortable, and let's get into the first letter. Prague, July 8, 1920, early Thursday morning. The street is noisy. Moreover, there's construction going on diagonally opposite. Directly opposite is not the Russian church, but apartments full of people. Nonetheless, while being alone in a room may be a prerequisite for life, being alone in an apartment is to be exact, temporary prerequisite. For happiness, one prerequisite, because what use would the apartment be if you weren't alive? If I didn't have a home where I could rest, something like two bright blue eyes, but to lie by some inconceivable grace. But as it is, the apartment is part of my happiness. Everything is quiet. The bathroom, the kitchen, the front hall, the 3 additional rooms, not like those communal apartments. The noise, the lechery, the incest of dissolute bodies, thoughts, and desire, long uncontrolled, where improper, haphazard things take place, where illicit affairs occur, where illegitimate children are conceived in every corner, behind every piece of furniture, and where it keeps going on and on. Different from your quiet, empty Sunday suburb, more like the wild, overcrowded, suffocating suburb on a relentless, unending Saturday night. My sister has come the whole long way to bring me breakfast, which wasn't necessary since I would have gone home myself, and I had to ring several minutes before I finally awoke from this letter and my isolation. Franz Kafka. Okay, so I really enjoyed this paragraph here, where he started talking about his apartment. I really like that, and I like the way everything is being worded. It's clear. It makes me want to dive deeper into what there is to come, pretty much. With that being said, let's get into the second letter. Oh, right. If you guys remember, the apartment doesn't belong to him. It's the apartment of his sister because his uncle came back from France and pretty much he's just staying there because he wants to give his uncle enough space. Okay, now that I made that clear, let's go into the second letter. Prague, July 8th, 1920, Thursday morning. At least your letter, just a few hasty words on the main subject. Even though the haste may cause a few inaccuracies, I will later regret, because we all 3 know each other independently. This case is unlike any other I know, so there's no need to make it bleaker than it is by citing experiences from other cases. I am not his friend. I have not betrayed a friend, but I am not merely his acquaintance either. Rather, I am bound to him, in some respect, maybe more than to a friend. Nor have you betrayed him, since you love him. Whatever, if you may say, and if and when we unite, I think it would be on a different level, outside his domain. Okay, so they're pretty much like planning on, well, not they, he is, talking about when they meet and when Milena is not with her husband anymore. Anyways, consequently, this is not simply our exclusive affair to be kept secret, nor is it just torment, anxiety, pain, worry. Your letter has shocked me out of the relatively calm state I was still enjoying from our being together, and which may now be reverting to a turmoil of Miran. Although there are powerful obstacles standing in the way of such reversion, it is much more an open and clear cut in its openness, mother of the three of us. Even if you should keep silent for a while, I too am very much against brooding over all the various possibilities. I am against this because I have you. If I were alone, nothing could stop me from such ruminations. Since doing so transform one in the present into the battleground of the future, and how it is such devastated ground to bear the house of the future. A moment, I don't know anything anymore. At the moment, I don't know anything anymore. I've been back at work for 3 days and haven't written a line. Maybe I'll be able to now. Incidentally, Max dropped. If you guys don't remember who Max is his friend. Let me just make like he's like a good friend of Kafka and Milena. So, just a quick reminder. Max dropped by as I was writing this. It goes without saying that his silence is reliable for everyone except sisters, parent, girl, and him. I came back via Linz, Franz Kafka. And that was the end of the second letter. And I don't have much to say really. This whole thing pretty much talks about how he feels, about, well, apparently he didn't betray a friend because they weren't really friends, but they were not acquaintances either. They were more than acquaintance, but not friends. That's pretty much what this entire talks about. And it's also being reminiscent of their time together. With that being said, let's get into the third letter of the day. Prague, July 9th, 1920, Friday. All writing seems futile to me, and it really is. The best would probably be for me to go to Vienna and take you away. I may even do it, although you don't want me to. Actually, there are only two possibilities, each more beautiful than the other. Either you come to Prague or you come to Leipzig. It's the name of a city. It's spelled oddly, so I can't really pronounce it, but she's given a choice to either she goes to Prague, right? Or she goes to this new place that we haven't heard of before. So that's pretty much what the whole, like the first paragraph is about. And then he says, I crept up to Julavsvik yesterday. I'm gonna put all this like in the video because this is, to be fair, kind of hard for me to read. But we're gonna have trouble for you to understand what I'm saying. I crept up to Jolovsky yesterday, mistrustful in the old Jewish tradition, and caught him just before he left for Leipzig. He had your letter to Staza. He is an excellent person, happy, open, intelligent, takes you by the arm, talks up a storm, is ready for anything, understands everything, and a little more. See, I want my friend to describe it like this, right? A friend of mine to describe me just like how Kafka just described his friend. Together with his wife, he was intending to see Florent, who lived near Ordno, and from there on to Vienna to sail. He's coming back to Prague this afternoon and will be in Staza. Reply. I'll speak with him at 3, then send you a telegram. Forgive the babble contained in the 11th letter. Throw them out. Now, reality is on its way, bigger and better. At the moment, the only thing to be afraid of, I think, is your love for your husband. The new task you write about certainly is difficult, but don't underestimate the strength I derive from being close to you. Of course, for the time being, I'm not sleeping, but I am much calmer than I thought yesterday evening when I was confronted with your 2 letters. The telegram you sent today is also somewhat reassuring. I'm worried about your husband now, at least for the moment, but not too much, not unbearably. He had taken on the huge task, which he has in part, perhaps entirely, carried out with honor. I don't think he could carry it any further, and not at all because he lacks the strength to do so. What is my strength compared to his? But because he is much too burdened with everything that has gone on before, much too oppressed, too deprived of the contraction such a task will require. Compared to this, it may actually come as a relief to him. Why should I write to him? Franz Kafka. Okay, so first of all, I really enjoy how he talked about his friends in this passage, in this letter. I really enjoyed it. And at the very end, right, he says, why shouldn't I write him? He's talking about the husband of Milena, right? He, by the looks of it, wants to write to him. Maybe about their situations. Maybe he thinks that it will help, make everything go smoothly. Because from what I can tell, what I can derive from what I've read so far, they both enjoyed the time they spent together when Kafka went to visit. And maybe because of that, I gave him more courage. Because in one of the letters he says, right, that it brings him strength or something similar. But should he really write to him? I don't think that's a good idea. Just keep things simple for now, Kafka. Don't do too much, please. Let's get into the letter of the day. Well, the 4th one. The 3rd one, actually. Wow, I didn't realize it was just the 3rd one. July 9th, 1920, Friday. Just a few words concerning Stasa letter. My uncle, who is otherwise very kind, but right now a little bit of a nuisance, is waiting for me. Well, Stasa letter is indeed very warm and friendly, except it does have some slight defect, perhaps only a formal one, which is not to say that letters without this defect are more heartfelt. Probably the opposite is true. Still, either it is missing something or else it contains too much. Maybe it's her capacity to think things over, which she seems to get from her husband. Incidentally, he spoke with me yesterday in exactly the same way. Today, on the other hand, when I wanted to apologize for yesterday's mistrust, he dragged it out of Kafka and poured my heart out a little. He virtually sent me on my way, as cordially as could be, with Stasa's letter and the details concerning the rendezvous Stasa is promising for Monday. But why should I speak this way about these really kind people? Jealousy. It really is jealousy. But I promise you, Milena, that I'll never play you with them. Only me, only myself. Nevertheless, the only letter does appear to contain one misunderstanding, since what you really wanted was neither Stasa's advice nor for her to speak to your husband. Nothing could substitute for what you most desire, that is her presence. So it seemed to me, and the issue of money is unimportant. I already explained that to her husband yesterday. So Monday I'll talk to Stasta. Today, he was in the middle of a business meeting. Peterman and Ferenc Futurista were sitting at the same table, waiting impatiently to begin their conference concerning a new cabaret. Really, if my uncle weren't waiting, I'd tear this letter up and write a new one, particularly because there just happened to be a phrase in Stasa letter which makes everything else acceptable. As far as I'm concerned, to live, to live with Kafka. I hope to receive more news from you today. It turns out I'm a capitalist who doesn't even know the extent of his possession. This afternoon at work, as I was asking for news in vain, they brought me a letter of yours which had arrived in Miran shortly after I had left. Instantly, along with a card from Ribram. Reading it was strange. Yours, Kafka. Okay, so while he was at work, he received the letter that Milena had sent to him. And he said that it was strange reading it. We don't really know why it was strange. We could just assume, right? But let me know what you guys think, because me personally, I don't have thoughts of my own. Not in this case. Let's get into the fourth letter of the day. July 10th, 1920, Sunday. This is bad. The day before yesterday, your two unhappy letters arrived. Yesterday morning, by the telegram. Let's read the fourth letter. Prague, July 10th, 1920, Saturday. This is bad. The day before yesterday, your two unhappy letters arrived. Yesterday, nothing but a telegram. Even though it was indeed reassuring, it still seemed a little patched together, the way telegrams are. And today, nothing at all. And those letters weren't exactly very comforting for me, far from it. And in them, you said you write again right away, and you haven't written. And 2 evenings ago, I sent you an urgent telegram with prepared urgent reply, which also should have arrived long ago. I repeat the text. It was the only right thing to do. Be calm. Your home is here. Jilovsky. And wife, probably arriving in Vienna in 1 week. How shall I send money? But there hasn't been an answer. Go to Vienna, I tell myself. But Milena doesn't want you to. Very decidedly not. There's like conflict in this letter, which is good. It will mean a decision. She doesn't want you. She has worries and doubts. That's why she wants Stasa. Despite this, I should go, but I'm not well. However, I am calm, relatively calm, calmer than I had never hoped to be again during days last year. Although I do have a bad cough during the day, and for 15 minutes at a stretch during the night, it's probably only a matter of reacclimating to Prague and the consequence of the chaotic time in Miran, the time before I knew you and I looked into your eyes. How dark Vienna has become, and yet for 4 days it was so bright. Was it being concocted for me there while I sit here, seize my writings, and lay my face in my hands? Franz Kafka. Okay, so he wants to go to Vienna to go see Milena, but Milena doesn't want him to, and then this entire thing pretty much talks about, well, this is more like an internal talk, at least I believe. Because he doesn't want you to, but he wants to go, but he keeps on giving hints that she doesn't want him to, and he's aware of that. And he's frustrated, he doesn't know what to do, and he says, and I quote, "Seize my writing and lay my face in my hands." You know when you're frustrated, you do this, right? Or like when you're tired and you're thinking, oh, that's probably what he's talking about. I'm going to read you guys a small paragraph right after this letter. It says, "Then I looked out my chair through the open window into the rain, and various possibilities occurred to me. That you might be sick, tired, in bed. That fro-colored might act as a good between, and then strangely enough, the most obvious, naturally, possibly, that the door will open, and there you are." The end. There's just one paragraph I just want to let you know because he is imagining her, right, being there by the door. He's losing his mind, that's what I'm trying to say. That's okay, I shouldn't say that. But he's deeply in love. He's opening himself up, he's becoming vulnerable. Let's get into the last letter of the day and get comfortable. This one is longer. Wow. Prague, July 12th, 1920, Monday. The past 2 days have been horrible, to say the least. But now I realize it wasn't your fault at all. Some malicious devil was holding back all your letters from Thursday on. Friday, I received only your telegram. Nothing on Saturday. Nothing on Sunday. Today, 4 letters from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm too tired to really write. Too tired to sort out what remains for me from these 4 letters. From this mountain of despair, suffering, and love. One is so selfish when one is tired and has spent 2 nights and days consumed by the most awful imaginings, but nevertheless, and again, this is part of your life. Giving force, Mother Milena. Nevertheless, I am essentially less shaken now than I have been during the past 7 years, perhaps excluding the one I spent in the country. Be that as it may, I still don't understand why I didn't receive any answer to my urgent telegram of Thursday evening. I then wired for a caller. Still, no answer. Don't be afraid that I might write to your husband. I really don't have much desire to do that. The only thing I do desire is to go to Vienna, but I won't do that either. Even if there weren't such obstacle as your opposition to my coming, passport problems, work, cough, exhaustion, my sister's wedding, Thursday. In any case, going to Vienna would be better than spending afternoon the way I did Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, I wandered around a little with my uncle, a little with Max, and every 2 hours I'd run to the office to ask for mail. Things were better in the evening. I went to Lawrence. He hadn't heard of anything bad happening to you. He also mentioned your letter, which made me happy, and telephone cash at a new free price. He hadn't heard anything either, but said he would ask, not your husband, about you and call back this evening. So I was sitting at Lawrence, heard your name mentioned several times, and was grateful to him. Even so, talking to him is neither easy nor pleasant. He really, he really is like a child, like a not too bright child. He boasts, lies, puts on a show just like a child, and one feels exaggeratedly sneaky and repulsive, insincere, sitting there listening to him, especially since he is not just a child, but a big and serious grown up when it comes to kindness, sympathy, and readiness to help. There's nowhere out of this dichotomy. And if I hadn't kept saying to myself, one more time, I want to hear your name just one more time, I would have left long before I did. He also talked about his wedding Tuesday in the same tone. In the margin of the letter, you misunderstood about the level. I didn't mean it that way. I'll explain soon. Sunday was worse. Actually, I had wanted to go to the cemetery, and that would have been the right thing to do. But I spent the whole morning in bed, and in the afternoon, I had to go to my sister's in law, where I had never been before. Then it was 6. Back to the office to ask if a telegram had arrived. Nothing. What now? Check what's playing in the theater. Since Jolovsky had very briefly mentioned that Stasa was going to a Wagner opera on Monday. Next, I read that the performance began at 6, but at 6 we had our rendezvous. Bad. What now? Go check the house in the ops gaze. It's quiet. No one going in, no one going out. I wait a little, first in front of the house and then across the streets. Nothing houses like that are so much wiser than the people who stare at them. And now into the Lucerna building, where Dobre Dilo used to be on display. It's no longer there. So maybe it's her house. An easy decision since I'm sure she can't be home right now. A peaceful and pretty house with a small garden in the back. Because a padlock is hanging on the front door, I can ring the bell with impunity. Downstairs, a brief conversation with the building superintendent, just in order to pronounce the word Leipzig and Jolovsky. Unfortunately, there was no possibility of saying Milena. And now, unfortunately, there was no possibility. And now, I'm sorry, I just rewrite the same thing. And now the dumbest part. I walked into the Cafe Arco, where I haven't been for years, in order to find somebody who knows you. Fortunately, no one was there, and I was able to leave right away. Not many more Sundays like that. Milena, Franz Kafka, and that was the end of today's letters. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was Book by Ivan, and if you have any recommendations, please let me know, and I'll read them in the future. With that being said, That was Letters to Milena. Letters 45 to 50. I hope you guys enjoy. Stay well. Be good people.